Well, that is Kentish Cheese Casserole made. That is superb. Hi everyone, welcome to Backyard Chef. I'm Rick. Today we are in Kent, in the southern part of England. We are making a classic old-fashioned dish. Now, it's not ancient, but it's going back a little while, and the older end have been suggesting making it on this channel. We are making the Kentish, can't even say it. We are making the Kentish Cheese Casserole. Now, it's a straightforward recipe. Smash some garlic, chop some onions, cook it with some butter, chuck in some stock, veg stock, layer it up with some cheese, throw some breadcrumbs on the top with some butter, stick it in the oven. Kentish Cheese Casserole. Let's show you how to do it, come on. Okay, it's nice and straightforward. We've got a couple of bits of garlic here. Now, you can use what garlic you want, and don't forget with all recipes, you know, add or take away, up to you. So we want a bit of a rough chop on here. Now you can mince it all up with one of those mincer things if you want, or you can just give it a quick rough chop over the top. It's not really essential how it's chopped. It's how you want it to be chopped. And that'll do for me. I'm not really all that bothered about fine chop. Right, we have a pan, and we are going to put that in our pan. I'm just going to put that to one side. I want to chop some onions. Now, I've got a selection of onions here. Look, I've got some red and some white. It's irrelevant, it's an onion. You either use red, use white, use whatever you've got. It doesn't matter. And what we have to do, we have to chop some slices. Now, we obviously don't want that that's in there, so that can come out. So we want some thin slices of onion. So there's absolutely no rush, just nice and steady. Just thinly slice your onions. Any which way that you normally do. So we'll get onto one of these red ones just for contrast, and then I'll just crack on and chop them all. So just nice and steady. So that's our onions, you know, we want fairly thin slices on these onions, and they're all going to go in our pan. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take our pan. It's already got that little bit of garlic in there, look. Let's just put it on there a minute. I want a lump of butter in there, something like that. You can cook with olive oil if you so wish, and just to make it so you see, there's some olive oil, but you obviously put more in if you wanted more olive oil. All we need to do is put that onion in there. So we are just going to chop those onions and put them straight in this pan. Okay, so it's just a case of put the flame on, and then we're going to start to just fry it down a little bit, saute it. It is seasoned to taste, so over there with some salt, as much salt as you want. And we're going to go in there with some black pepper. Now I like black pepper, so just saute those onions down a little. So as with this dish then, or any dish like this, we don't really want to brown the onions, but if we do brown the onions, it doesn't matter. it's going inside a casserole. So if it's got a little bit of colour in there, it'll be fine. Okay, so there's not very much history to this dish at all, actually. It's just a very well-known dish that's been around well before the war, well before the Second World War, and probably well before that. It's known by the older end. Kent is known as the Garden of England, producing many different crops in its fertile soil, but also cheeses. You've got the Kentish Blue cheese, and you've also got cheddar. And yes, we know cheddar actually came from the village of Cheddar in Somerset. And as we all know now, cheddar is worldwide. You know, everybody knows cheddar. Now, English cuisine, very common, cheese and onion mixed, even cheese and onion crisps, but cheese and onion mixed. So it's a very common pairing. You know, you get cheese and onion pies, cheese and onion pasties. So this Kentish Cheese Casserole is a classic in its time, a real classic. So we've sauteed those down a little bit with our butter and that little bit of oil we put in. We want to be going in there with about just over a cup of veg stock, and we're just going to boil that down in there, and that's going to give us our casserole soupy mix. So just boil it down and cook some of those onions in there, and it's going to cook off some of that fluid. Now, I'm not putting a lid on. I want it to cook off. We want some fluid, but not all of that. For all of the people that have been following the channel, we've been taking the bread off, we've been stuffing it in the freezer. That is our breadcrumbs. All I've done is put it through the blender and whizzed it up to breadcrumbs. You can use any breadcrumbs, panko breadcrumbs, homemade breadcrumbs, any breadcrumbs. It's breadcrumbs. Don't worry about it. And today we're going to use cheddar cheese, a nice sharp cheddar cheese. Okay, your oven at home, stick your oven on, preheat your oven 190. That's 380 F. And I'll be sticking this on in a minute. I'm using the high sapiente air fryer oven as usual. I'll be sticking it on about 170. That's 340. We don't have to rush to put it on yet, you know. It warms up very quickly. And then what we need to be doing is adding about half a tablespoon of brown sugar. You can use white sugar. That is entirely up to you. And that's going to give that little bit of sweetness through there with those onions. Now you really don't want more than a good 5 minutes cooking in here with this broth. Much longer than that, you're not going to end up with a casserole, you know. You're just going to end up with dry onions. So I'm going to turn the flame off. That's good enough. We're just going to assemble our casserole and we're going to stick it in the oven. So I'm just going to stick the oven on. We want to be going on for about 170, somewhere around about there. Let it whir away in the background. So it doesn't get much easier than this. All we do is we get some onions in there and some cheese on there, and then some more onions and some more cheese in there with some cheddar. Now you can put as much cheese in as you want. You know, it's your casserole. Some more onions. Some more cheese. Some more onions. And then we're on there with some breadcrumbs. A nice layer of breadcrumbs. Give it a little Pressing down, then the bottom of the breadcrumbs actually soak into the top of there. And then we want a little bit of butter on there. And then for me, a little bit of that cheese. And then I'm just going to go over there with just a little bit more pepper. Pepper's optional, that's up to you. I like the taste of pepper. This is crying out for adding some mustard powder or anything like that in there to give it a different flavour. But this is actually an original way of making the Kentish Cheese Casserole, which is onions and cheese. So we're going to stick that in the oven. So that's going in there. And we're going to do that for about 25 minutes. Somewhere around about there. It should be okay. Okay, looking at my Kentish Cheese Casserole. That is ready to come out of there. Look, look at that. So that is bubbling like crazy. It's got a nice crunchy top on there. What we're going to do, let it cool down. In fact, I'm going to give it a decent amount of time to cool down, probably about 10 minutes. Because that's onions and cheese, it's going to be absolutely boiling in there. And then we'll serve some up and see what it looks like. I've let that cool down a little minute, and now we're just going to come through there. Oh, we got crusty on the top. I don't think it's going to make much difference, to be honest. It's not like a crusty cheese top really, you know, because there's all that breadcrumbs under there. So I think we just need to be taking some out. Oh, look at that. Oh, there we have it. It smells fantastic. You can smell all that cheese and the onions. It's mouth-watering. It smells delicious. I think we just got to go give it a try. Well, just look at this. I think it's a little bit of mustard for me. And let's fire straight in. Oh. That is absolutely amazing. The cheddar cheese and those onions. You can't go wrong with that. Now, I'm not sure how you want to eat it. I could eat this as a main, but you know, you could put this with something else. It is superb. It's so easy to eat as well. The onions are soft. The cheese is melted all the way through there. Okay, you've got the breadcrumbs on there, a little bit dry for the top, or a little bit drier because the breadcrumbs. We got the crunchy cheese that we put on. Well, that is Kentish Cheese Casserole made. That is superb. If you like what we're doing, don't forget, smash that like and subscribe, share with your friends, all that kind of stuff. We'll catch you in the next video.